Hey gang, welcome back to Drinking on the Fly. Kyle Ludwig from Ludwig Outdoors is my special co-host as always. I guess we're each the hosts, so it's not really like we're a co-host. It's just I always intro the show. And then you'll follow him on Instagram at Fly Time with Ludwig or Ludwig Outdoors. And then you've got me, Shawn, from the Kayak Flyer podcast. And hey, we've got a reason to celebrate tonight. Public House has enjoyed our show, and they have sent us both some free beer.
Heck yeah.
So, what are you drinking tonight, my fine sir?
I am drinking the Public House Cream Ale right there.
I've not had that one yet. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, it looks delicious. I haven't had it yet either, but let's see.
Well, I am drinking a light beer that I don't normally drink this style. It's a Hell's style or a Helly style. And this is the Public House Headshot. Bigfoot there taking a photograph. So let's give these a sample and see what we think of these beers. Mine is crisp and clean.
Yeah, same. This is super clear.
Yeah, this has got a little bit of a haze to it. Something you would expect with this style of beer. Man, it's good. It's refreshing.
Yeah, this is really good.
Yeah.
I've had a few of their beers, but I have not had this one.
Yeah, I was looking through the beer they sent, and I think I'd had 2 of them. Yeah. And I was like, wow, I didn't realize that, because I drink a lot of IPAs and a lot of stouts. And so Giddy Goat, of course, one of my absolute favorites, the elusive IPA I've had, it's really good. And so I was excited to see some beers that we hadn't had here. So we want to give a big shout out to Public House. 10 out of 10 would drink again. And this isn't a style that I normally go for.
Yeah. Thanks, Public House. Appreciate it.
And I'm really excited to try that. I saw one in the box called Dry Fly. So I thought if we ever tie a dry fly.
I've had that one. That's pretty good.
You like that one too?
Yeah, I like that one. I had to buy that on just because I had a fly on it one time in the store.
Yeah, I know. It's funny. You see that, and we had Kevin was with us the last 2 episodes from Casting Feathers and Fur, and he was talking about artwork being like the LP covers when we were kids or when I was a kid. You're not old enough, but good artwork really goes a long way, and they definitely knocked it out of the park. Let me see if I can get that without a blur there. With this one, it really looks good. It's a can you're going to remember and a beer you're going to remember. So check out Public House, especially if you live. I know they're in St. James, Missouri. I'm assuming they're shipping regionally and out of state. I can't see why they wouldn't be shipping out of state. But definitely get on there and give them a call. I'm sure you can order beer. You just have to sign for it and be 21 when it comes in the mail. So give it a shout out or give it a try. Give them a shout out. Follow them on Instagram, Public House Beers, at Public House Beers. So anyway, we've got we're going back to my wheelhouse tonight. I'm going to tie a fly. I tied one earlier to do a camera test. And I tied it as a shad, and it just does not look right on camera. So I'm going to use some colors you would probably never use when you're tying this fly unless you're going to the salt. I'm going to use some blues and some duns, and I'm going to hope that shows up a little bit better on the camera. So I'm going to start, and I'm telling you what, this is my favorite hook. Well, it was my favorite hook until I stabbed myself with it. But that's the Big Game MS100 and 2-aught. And again, you can just see the lights in the studio are way too bright for that. But it's a nice hook. It's a sharp hook. If you do these in white, you don't have to add any red. If you're like me and you hook your thumb, you can add a gill plate just by touching it. They are super, super sharp. I like everything from FTD, and I think everything I'm tying tonight with the thread is as FTD. So that'll just tell you how much I like the Mad Scientist, and man, it's a great bunch of product. And if you're not buying directly from the Mad Scientist, if you're going to buy your flies from somewhere else, if you go to Dooley Fly Fishing, save 15% with promo code Kayak, and he has a complete line of stuff from Fly Tyers Dudgeon. So if you're doing some other shopping, grab a couple of things of dubbing or some Congo hair and throw it in your basket and see how you like it. So All right. Well, I'm going to go ahead and reset this camera up, and we're going to start on our first fly for the night. Now, when I tied this fly before, I used bullfrog dubbing. It's a little bit heavier. It's going to retain more water, um, and make it run hook point down. Now, you can add a dumbbell eye on here and run it hook point up. And I didn't see them at Dooley's when I was there, but I don't remember if I looked exactly for them or not. But there are these scud backs, these lead scud backs you can get. Have you
Oh,
seen
okay.
those? That
They're
you can use
lead
them for
ones.
tying scuds, but you can also put them on the back of a hook to keel it.
I mean,
So
I have scud back, but not. I haven't
it's
seen
a
lead
it's a
ones.
lead. It's a lead weight.
Oh, it's a weight. Yes, I've seen those. Okay, I know what
Yeah,
you're talking about.
eh, I've seen guys use those to keel hooks, to make them run hook point down. However, the beauty of this, if you're doing it as a shad and you're fishing the shad kill, even if it gets a little wobbly on you, and you can even tie it to make it wobbly, to tie it to be more on its side, that really is an indicator for a shad kill at one of the bigger trout rivers that we have in the area. So I'm just using a thread that I already had. I'm not using black for a particular reason. I'd normally use white, but I had some Vivas 6/0 tied up. And so then everything's going to be Fly Tyers Dudgeon. So I'm going to tie in, and you can make these as long as you want to. The hook size doesn't determine the overall length of the body. So I'm going to tie this one just a little bit shorter. But we're going to start with some Congo hair. He has so many different types of hair out there, but I still really enjoy the Congo hair. And this is in a dun shad color, and it's got white, silver, gray, and blue in it. And we're just going to use that. Hopefully, it'll show up a little bit better on the old YouTubes here. And so we're just going to grab a selection of this with a couple different colors. And now Congo hair is one of those things where you always use half of what you pull out. So go sparing with it. I tie a similar fly to this, and I've got videos of it online, on the Kayak Flyer page of another bait fish that I do that's just Congo hair. Um, and it does really well. You make that one really, really thin and use a red thread. Looks like you've got a little bit of bloodline running down it. I like to use it stream fishing. Um, I know some people will get mad, but pre-spawn, post-spawn, when they're chasing stuff, they make for really nice bait fish. So I'm going to take my 6/0 thread and I'm going to dress my hook. I said I was going to move this microphone, and I didn't do that.
Usually, fish the same size for trout, or
Oh no, I mean, honestly, if I were going down to the white in the wintertime on the shad kill, yeah, I'd probably use this size hook. Because, I mean, they're gonna be hoovering it. I might go down to a one. If I wanted to stay with the FTD brand, I'd go down to a one.
okay,
But I would definitely looking for bigger browns and bigger bows, I would definitely, just because it was shad kill time, I would definitely use something bigger. Um, this, of course, I'm tying in sort of a saltwater color configuration, with the blues. And one thing you want to do is you always want the front, when you tie this in, you're going to sort of hollow tie it back. You want the bottom layer to be longer so that you're going to create a natural taper. And this is going to get really janky really fast, but trust me, when we comb it out, you're going to see a big difference. And now that's a lot of tail for this fly, but that's all right because we're going to build that head up and we're going to conical it. And then I've got a little trick. Um, I know you're a big fan of the solar res, but I don't have any of that. When I learned to tie this style streamer, I don't think the solar res flex was out. So I've got an old school trick for that. So let's take we're going to use the big game dubbing in Clyde and silver shad. And now the only thing I can tell you about this fly that is a live or die by, that you're either gonna catch fish or you're not, is you want more dubbing on the bottom than you want on top. Too much dubbing on the top, it's gonna foul and it's not gonna swim right. So you really want to get about twice as much dubbing on bottom. And so I just rotate it over, measure out my dubbing, lay it through. And like I said, these hooks are sharp. So be careful when you do that. Um, I mean, they are really sharp. Then you sort of pinch it over twice and run this back. And that's all you're going to do for this entire fly. It's just multiples of this step of just laying it down, pushing it over, and bringing it up. So I'm going to use some big game Arctic Wind and Frozen Blue. And by the way, if you're like me and you've got a bunch of stuff from FTD, these little yellow material holders that they have from Loon, these are a lifesaver. You can put all your dubbing of whatever type you have on there, and man, does that just make things a lot easier. So I'm gonna pull out. You know what? Let's save that Arctic Blue for the very top of the fly. No, we'll go ahead and use it. Again, color is really what you're fishing for. So, you can fish this for salt. I mean, there's nothing that says that this isn't a saltwater fly. Um, you know, that's I just haven't fished this pattern in the salt. That's the only thing I'm using more of the shrimp patterns and stuff like that. But this is definitely a fly that you can use in the salt. And the Arctic Wind is quite a bit longer. So I'm just going to double it and snip it in half and then lay it in there because I don't want this to be overly heavy. So I'm just going to use half that dubbing that I pulled out. I know this is tedious, but I think that if you're doing this at home, you're really going to appreciate this fly. Um, I don't know why somebody wouldn't enjoy fishing this one. And with all the color combinations, I've actually done this in a baby rainbow trout where I used Congo hair in pink from the eye of the hook all the way back. And then when I put my dubbing in, I put it in a lot lighter so you could see that pink. And then I had a dark green and an olive, and then that pink, and then just a little bit of a blue dubbing, and then the white dubbing along the bottom. And it really made a pretty fly. It really did. Um, so back to the silver shad. And if you're going to tie a bunch of these, you want to go online and buy bulk dubbing because it takes quite a bit to get this thing to swim right and everything on it to be right. You're going to go through quite a bit of dubbing. This is actually a modified SBS. If anybody out there, have you ever tied an SBS or seen an SBS?
I don't think so.
It's a smallmouth bass streamer. And instead of the Congo hair, you're using craft fur. And then you build it up with
Okay.
craft fur, and then you use the dubbing in the exact same way we are now to build that head. And so that really makes it sink. And you use a lot of the dubbing on the bottom. And a lot of times, if you do it in white, you can color it with a Sharpie, whatever color you want to. It
Yeah.
really doesn't become an issue.
I've tied
But
something similar. I guess I always call it just like a craft for a minnow.
yeah,
Might be something similar. And this is gonna fish. This isn't gonna fish hook up, right?
no, no, no.
No. Okay.
If I had the right size lead eyes, I could tie those on the top to make
Right.
it fish hook point up, and then I would just do everything opposite. I'd make sure that all my heavy dubbing was
Right.
across the top instead of across the bottom.
Okay.
Um, and then when we brush this through, all this is going to blend together, so that's going to hide quite a bit. And you can do this as heavy or as thin as you want. I probably should have gone a little bit thinner for purposes of the show, but I really want to show off what this thing does when you add that secret recipe to it. Um, and I don't know if you know the trick or not, the shuttlecock streamer is where I learned this trick on, and I use it on all my game changers. I use it on everything that I want to move water. Because I don't think originally the SBS called for the squishy head, but I definitely like it. I like the way it moves the water. I like the way it gets the fish's reaction a little bit more. So again, I'm going to cut this roughly in half and tie in this other dubbing. And you can see, I mean, you've got a lot of dubbing there for that being cut in half.
Yeah, it's pretty
And I'm going to
dense.
move it up just a little bit faster so we can move on just a little bit. So that nice bright blue. If you wanted to put a different color up here, and then just go over the top of it with a light blue, you could definitely do that, and that would give you another dimension of color in it that would look really, really slick.
Yeah, these would look pretty good with a little blue and orange and make like a little bluegill pattern.
Yeah, you definitely can. The possibilities are endless, like I said. And if you just want to do it in white and take a Sharpie,
Right.
that's there's no reason not to. Um, and if you want to tie a little bit on the sides, if you want to split this and bring it back along the sides, you can. Usually, when you bring it down, you'll capture a little bit, move it to the sides. And I'm gonna go ahead and finish this thing off with this last bit of blue, at least for the tying portion, and then we'll get into the artistic portion. Um, Now, granted, if you are going to tie this for saltwater, I would say leave a little bit more room at the eye of the hook, where those toothy critters are going to grab it. But I'm tying it more as the freshwater, just in these colors, so you can tell. And I mean, streamer fishing is different. You can tie in. I thought about tying in some Northern Lights flash. I normally do that. I kind of got distracted here with the camera. I
Yeah,
don't know what it is, but I can tie these all day long. But when I get the camera on, I get a little jumpy.
now are you
So then
tossing
we're
this
just
on
going to
a
whip finish this.
are you tossing this on a sink tip or a full sink or
No, I'm just going to fish this normal. That dubbing should be enough that I should be able to get down in the water column. Especially if I were using dumbbell eyes, I would definitely go ahead and do it. I would definitely go ahead and use those if I wanted to get deeper. Um, I just didn't have any of the right size, which I guess for the show it wouldn't have mattered, but I just didn't have them laying there. So then I just take my loon dubbing brush or my loon, dubbing brush here, uh, brush all this dubbing out. Another way you can do this that is really nice, and I've seen guys that get really good with their dubbing brush tables, like the Oasis dubbing brush table, when you can sort of pattern how thick and how thin you want it whenever you put it together, and you can really decide where it's going to go. But I've seen guys do these even out of dubbing brushes. So there you go. That's going to be the main portion of it. And you can pick out some stuff that you don't need on there. Now, um, you can take, and super glue works just fine. It really doesn't matter. I don't always use super glue on it whenever I put it together. And this is why. I'm going to take some, it's called Tulip Glitter fabric paint. Have you ever used anything like this before?
I have not.
You get this at your craft store. And so what we're going to do is we're going to be pretty generous with this, and we're going to put some on that head. And this is the hardest part because it takes so long to dry. And so then I'm going to take just a pair of tweezers that I've got laying here because I don't know where my bodkin ran off to. And then I'm just going to paint that head. And I can paint it as far back as I want to. Now this is going to dry clear. And so while I've got that wet, I'm going to take my fish eyes from Fly Tyers Dudgeon. And these are 8mm. These are probably a little big for this. He's got a wide variety of eye sizes, um, and a wide variety of colors. And then you just put that on there, and that's going to sort of glue it down. And then once I get the other side on, I'm going to go ahead and brush it again with just a little bit more of that fabric paint. And that'll sort of seal those eyes in, and it allows this to be squishy. And the fatter you build that dubbing on the head, the more squishy it gets. And the bigger and the more water it'll move. So don't be afraid to get all kinds of freaky with this thing when it comes to the amount of dubbing. That's going to be the amount of dubbing is going to govern how much of your water gets pushed. And then just wipe off anything that's just too excessive. Flip that over and just wipe that off if it's just too much. Be careful not to lose your eye.
And do you prefer this over the Flex UVs, or is
I've
it
never
just
used the Flex
you
UVs.
just don't never had? Okay,
I've
gotcha.
never gotten any. I just never have. I got some loon and I just stayed with them because I knew what it was, and I didn't want to jump ship, so to speak, or try something and be disappointed. And I've seen everybody else talking about it. But yeah, I can just leave that now, and that paint is not gonna make it solid. So where it looks a little flat, it's actually gonna fluff back up, and that'll be to move water, and that's really all there is to this fly. It's a great, simple fly. It doesn't take. It's a cheap fly when you're ordering from the FTD stuff. You know, it's not like buying laser dub that can be really really expensive. You can get the bullfrog dub that works well. I like the big game AW, which is Arctic Wind. That's really good. I like the big game Clyde. And then especially if you're looking for those brighter colors, the like the blue, that big game wind, Arctic Wind in blue just really looks fantastic. But that's sort of what it is. And we'll
Nice.
put photos of this on Instagram once it dries, so people can see it before the show comes out. Um, but yeah, it's that one's a little messy. The other one, if you can't see it, but I'll try and hold it up anyway. It's got a little bit of gold in it, and if you look head on, you can see just it's fatter, and the
Hmm.
glue's drying, so it's really puffy. It's really puffy down here on the bottom, so it sort of hides that hook, and it still gives you plenty of hook gap with that big hook. Then you can put some gold in there if you want to, and it's a gray on top, white on bottom, really a nice looking fly. So
Yeah, heck yeah.
that's that's my fly. So we'll go back and we'll see what you got cooking tonight. Kyle, I know it doesn't look like much while that paint's drying, and it really doesn't, so I don't want anybody to get freaked out. But trust me, I think you're really going to like the fly, especially if you're fishing where there's a lot of bait fish, where there's a shad kill, even for saltwater.
Hmm.
Obviously, you'll want to use a little bit different colors than what I did. I was just trying to get something that would show up on camera. I think that's the hardest thing about this is when we're shooting our videos for our individual stuff, we can adjust the lighting and everything else a lot more in the camera a lot more than we can on here. But hopefully the viewers all understood that, and we can do a more in-depth one later on. So what do you got for us?
I'm gonna be tying a scud. It's gonna be a gray one. Um, you can do these in. I do them in a bunch of different colors, um, but gray is can't really go wrong with gray.
No,
Um,
you can't. I mean, that's a
mm-mm.
great color for a scud.
Yeah, I think the last time I was down at the current, I caught a couple on a gray scud, just because they weren't
Yeah.
really taking much. It was kind of slow, but
And
yeah.
what
So
size do you prefer?
yeah, I'm tying this one in a size 14.
Okay.
But typically I usually it's 14 and 16.
Yeah.
I usually don't go any smaller. I've seen them smaller. Obviously, they can get pretty tiny, but I don't tie them really smaller than a 16 usually.
I would think a 16 would be a little bit more difficult to tie with a scud. I think I've
Yeah,
been tying size 12s, which aren't
I've done
overly
12.
big.
Yeah, I think 14 is a pretty medium ground size for almost everything. Um,
And I assume you're using a Scud hook there.
kind of. It's not like labeled as a scud hook. It's the Firehole 317,
Oh, okay.
so it's not technically a scud hook. I don't think they label it as a scud hook, but it looks great when it's done. I actually have a finished one over here somewhere, but we'll tie it first. And
Okay.
I put a bead on this too. Um,
Okay. So there's a big debate on whether or not to put a bead on and where you would put the bead. Some people put them in the middle.
yeah, I just put them in the front,
Yeah.
um, just like normal, like your tiny nymph. And it's a pretty easy pattern, really. So,
Have you seen the $7 Scud?
oh well, yeah, the one with all the tungsten beads and it makes up the whole body. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's kind of crazy. I'd lose that first cast. That's crazy. I don't know. That's a lot of tungsten.
Yeah. That's you got to have some swift water to be moving that.
Yeah,
I
that
was
would be heavy.
I was playing with a blob fly today, and it was a fat bottom blob, and I thought I put a lot of foam on it, and then I put a tungsten bead in the middle, thinking it'd look more like a an egg embryo, and
Okay.
it it sank like a rock whenever I was testing it. Like I just couldn't win.
Yeah, these things. I don't. I've never tied one of the $7 scud, but these alone will sink just fine. So I can only imagine the thing will probably knock the fish out if you cast it right.
You cast a little hard thunk, fish floats up to the top.
And then so I tie my wire in first, and I just tie a little bit down the hook bit, not much. And then I use small wire for this. You can use brassy size too, but I wouldn't go any higher than that, at least on a 14.
And what color are you using?
The wire is amber.
Okay.
It's an amber color. Um, and I'm the thread I'm using. This is in white. It's nano silk. It's in 12-aught white. Usually I use black, but I ran out of black, so I'm waiting on that in the mail. I go
Dooley
through a
needs to get
lot.
a Dooley needs to get going there.
Yeah, I run through some thread. But white was pretty awesome to have because you can color it up.
Yeah.
So
Well,
that's
that's I
what
think
I'll
we've
do.
spoken about that before about the white and black threads being, you can change the color if you really need to on the white.
Oh yeah, and that you'll
Uh,
see that I'll do that here. I'll actually color my thread black before I put the dubbing on, just in case anything shows through.
yeah.
It's not just a
I,
weird white spot.
I'm
Then
saying that as I'm looking at all the shades of olive and orange and pink and blue threads that I have sitting here.
yeah, I got a lot too, and I do use them because I have them.
Yeah. Well,
You
the
know why?
worst thing you can
Especially
do is
for
go to a
like
fly shop
hot
without a
spots.
list.
What's that?
Yeah. The worst thing you can do is go to a fly shop without a list.
Oh God, I've done that way too many times.
Oh,
I've gone to like Feathercraft, on the like I needed something real quick. I couldn't,
yeah.
wait for it. I'd run down there and don't really have a list besides the one item, but you walk out of there with at least $50, $60 worth of stuff.
Yeah, I think they're designed that way. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, it never fails. Every time I'm in there, I'm like, oh, I just need a couple things. Nope, I get a new.
And then I always forget the one thing I need the most.
Yeah, I've
So I
done
keep a
that.
little I keep a little journal by my fly tying table of what I'm ordering and what I'm ordering it to tie.
There you go. Yeah, I've
Um,
forgotten. Like learning how to tie and stuff. Trying new patterns. I forget what I bought it for.
yeah. And I've been really trying to streamline because I mean my tying desk I'm ashamed of it. I've got to clean it.
Yeah,
Um,
mine's a mess right now too. But
but I've found if I try and get the stuff for a new pattern, I really want to keep it all together and label it so that I know what I was tying.
yeah,
I tied a chimera fly for the first time last year, and so I got everything for it. And then the other day I was looking around, I'm like, what do I have? And I'm like, oh, that's for that chimera fly. Okay.
well now you got it. It's kind of a
Yeah.
little. It's kind of like a little surprise.
Yeah. And it's a good fly. I've caught trout down at the Spring River with it, multiple trout down there at the River with it. I like it a lot
Nice.
for a big fly.
Right. Yeah, that's a bigger fly.
Yeah, it's a size 10. So,
All right, then I just tied in my scud back here. Can't really see it.
okay.
It's a gray, like a light gray, and it's 1/8 inch scud back.
Okay.
I don't use. You can if you use the thick stuff, the scud back's going to hang over way too far. I think it might be fine, but I think it just hangs off too far. So I
Have you
use a
used the
small.
have you used the baby scud back from FTD?
I'll
We'll
have to
have to
get
get
some
you
of
some of
that.
that.
No, I've what size is that?
That's I think an 1/8 inch.
Okay, so
The
it's
baby is
this thing.
the regular scud backs is like a quarter.
Yeah, yeah. I used 1/4 inches for all those stone flies.
Yeah.
Because those are I use a quarter all the way down to size 14s on the stonefly
Yep.
because the way you fold them. If you use too small on those, it looks really bad.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
So it's the baby bug back is what I use for all my scuds. I bought a bunch of regular bug back, and didn't realize the size difference was that great.
yeah, yeah, I buy a ton of scud back because I use it a lot, and I'll just buy it all. I'll just buy, it's
I
like,
went on a little shopping spree last winter. I was going to start tying some scuds, and I think I got 200 scud hooks,
yeah,
and I don't know how many different colors of simply scud and bugback and baby bugback, and
hmm
yeah, I went a little overboard.
I do that a lot with scud back. I just buy a ton, two sizes, 1/8 inch and 1/4 inch. I don't even know if they make another size. I thought I seen another smaller size, it's like micro, but
There might be,
I've never bought it.
but
I think that's way too small. You'd be tying something really tiny. But but
yeah.
the dubbing I'm using is SLF gray sow bug.
Hmm.
Yep, has a little bit of like a purple sheen sparkle in there, which I like. It looks pretty good, especially when it gets wet. Because the gray dubbing gets a little darker because it gets wet, and then that the little shine, that little sparkle in there really stands out in the water. So I
Yeah,
just
it's
dubbed it here.
amazing how, and it's a relatively, when we're talking about fly tying, the addition of flash being such a big deal now compared to 20, 30 years ago.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely not required. I think it just grabs their attention a little more, maybe.
Yeah.
Um, but
Well, I mean, I think it's some of the big name fly tyers are, you look at some of the stuff they have and it's 95% flash.
right, it looks nice. I mean, but do the fish care? I don't know.
Yeah.
It's hard to really say. But sometimes that little sparkle will grab their attention.
Yeah.
Um,
And that's what, talking about tying it to look like a white shad and putting the dots on there and everything else, or tying it to look like a rainbow trout and going through 4 different colors of dubbing and Congo
right,
hair. And it's like, is it really worth it at the end of the day?
right.
You
At
know,
the
but I
Yeah,
guess if you take fly tying as an art, then it is worth it.
yeah, yeah. I tie flies so much. I mean, I hardly ever fish. All of these
Yeah.
flies. I mean, I fish a lot, but like I hardly ever fish all the flies I have.
Well, I
So
was going to go today. And of course, yesterday I was brewing beer and it was a nice day. Oops. It was a really nice day, really pretty day, really gorgeous outside. The wind wasn't blowing. It was nice. I'm brewing beer. I'm thinking, I'm going to go fish tomorrow. I got up this morning. We had like gusts at 25 miles an hour and 10-mile an hour sustained winds.
Jesus, I don't think it
Yeah, I'm
was
like,
too windy here.
that's not a casting, ideal
No,
casting situation.
no, I'd
I'm
prefer
going to
not
drink
to.
this other beer from Public House. They sent me two of this headshot. It's pretty good. I like it.
All right, and then yeah, I just dubbed this guy up all the way to the bead. I'm just picking it out right now. I don't know. You don't have to, but I kind of noodled that a little too tight because you're gonna make all this dubbing in the legs.
Right.
So now I'm gonna fold the scud back up over. the back of the fly, and just tie it in behind the bead. Let's see here. Boom. Now the trick with this is a lot of times when you're tying it in, it's going to turn the scud back. Same when you're
Hmm.
wrapping this wire, it's going to try to turn it. So you got to just keep adjusting the scud back a little bit. Just kind of twist it, make sure it's straight. Yeah, that
In
one's
my experience
crooked.
with Scudback, it wants to. It's it's forgiving. I mean, it's elasticy, but it
Right.
has a breaking point. So you've really got to be careful.
Yeah, it will break. I've broken off, just pulling a little too hard. I think it hit my. I don't know what happened, but yeah, I've broken it before. But okay, so that's in there, and usually I like just in case I just fold it back and just tie in a little chunk of that just for extra security.
Yep.
There's going to be UV that goes on the whole top of this, so that's probably not necessary, but you never know. So
Yeah.
uh, let's clean this up and cut the scud back right off there.
Now we've talked a lot about bobbins. I saw today on Facebook. I answered a question. You answered two. We both said a right bobbin. You said even a loon ergo bobbin as well.
Yeah.
I've got one of those. I really like it for certain threads. Um, do you have a scissor preference?
Yes, actually, Renomed. You've probably
Okay.
seen these.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, these things, like I've tried a lot of different scissor brands, and I've been talking to these guys, and I've been using these for a little while now, and these things are awesome. They're lightweight. So, like, you probably had Dr. Slick. Have you ever held the Dr. Slick?
You know
They're
what? I
nice
looked at the price
scissors.
tag and I was like,
They're nice
they were like
scissors. They don't get me
30
wrong,
bucks.
but they're a little heavy.
Yeah.
Same with Loon scissors, and there's a couple
Mm-hmm.
other scissors. They're a little heavy. These are nice and light, and you can see they're about the same size.
Yeah.
Uh, you know, but they're light and they're super strong. Like the metal isn't cheap and super sharp. And they make a bunch of different types of scissors, but I use these probably the most. They're small. I like to have a lot of small flies, but they
Right.
also make scissors for like cutting like foam strips and craft
Mm-hmm.
fur or that Congo hair.
Right.
They make scissors that are a little bit, I guess, designed for cutting that kind of material.
Yeah. A little bit
So,
more robust.
but yeah, ever since I've got these, and I've tried them out. I don't pick up any of my other scissors.
Really.
Yeah, they're there, they're on my desk, but I just don't pick them up because I have these are just I don't know, they're just so light and easy to work with. Because some of the other ones, like the loom ones, are a little bulky.
Mm-hmm.
Even the smaller ones are just still just a little bulky.
Yeah. I've
Um,
got these right here, and I think I used them twice in that tie. Maybe I've got a pair of cruddy scissors that I cut all my thread with almost anymore, just in case I forget, and it's
yeah,
nano silk. But these do weigh quite a bit.
yeah, they're a little heavy, and I mean, they're like I said, they're all sharp, they're all work. But I do like these scissors a lot. Um, so and yeah, I joined their promotional team not too long ago.
Oh,
So
nice.
yeah, but
You'll have to get one of them to come on the show here with us and judge our fly.
yeah, I was gonna talk to them this week about a couple different things.
Yeah.
But yeah, even though I'm on their team and everything, these scissors I literally use these scissors forever, like since I got them.
Yeah.
Because a lot of
And
times
that's,
you say you're gonna use them, but you put them down, you grab your old scissors again,
yeah.
But these are no, I use these all the time.
Yeah. And that's one of the things that, it really, well, Rick, Weisberg was on with Oasis Benches on the podcast and, gave me a pretty good deal on some stuff. And, my video compared to some of the other folks, it was just like, I've got to get up there and make another video that's, a little bit better because after I made mine, I saw one today that somebody made last week and I'm like, man, you know,
Oh, you're
so you
dubbing this?
gotta follow through when you're doing promotional stuff. And I don't think a lot of people understand that.
Yeah. No, I was a little nervous when I got them because I'm so used to using other scissors. And I've used them before I was on their team, but like I was somewhere and I just tried them out. I can't remember
Yeah.
where I was. Um, and I did like them. But yeah, no, for real, those scissors are legit. Um, so
Yeah, we'll definitely post a link to that and a Fly Tyers Dungeon in the episode description if I can remember to do it.
all right, then so I got the scud back all the way on there, so everything's straight looking. So I'm gonna wrap my wire. Now, when you do wrap this, it's still gonna try to turn
Hmm.
the
And you're going
scud
to
back. So
counter wrap.
yeah, you just gotta kind of just make sure it's straight. So
Yeah. And bugback is kind of slick.
it is slick, yes. As you
And
can
I
tell, I
have
just slid off there.
yeah,
So it just
I've
go
had
up
so
there.
many problems tying scuds with wire sliding. Is there any kind of a trick to that you know of?
I haven't really found a trick with the sliding around of the wire besides just keeping it tight and with my other hand just keep twisting it like to keep it straight. But yeah, usually it's just the first wrap that gets me.
Hmm.
The first wire wrap. Once I get that on there, I get up the fly. Okay.
And I think on a scud hook, it's a lot more, on a scud designed hook that is so aggressively curved. I
Yeah.
think that is a detriment. I know why it's curved that way, and that lead body that we were talking about before, it has grooves in there. So I think maybe that's why it has those grooves. I'm going to have to get some of those and try it. We're just going to have to do that.
Yeah, I've never used those actual hard shells before, but and like I said, this isn't like a traditional scud hook, but it works
Hmm.
great for scuds. Like it has a slight like bend to it. A lot of the
Hmm.
scud hooks are really curved,
Right.
but if you ever seen a scud in the water, it does go straight. It gets straight. It moves. So they're not always curved to the extreme.
Yeah. Well, we'll talk to Dooley, dooley'sflyfishing.com, say 15% promo code kayak. We'll talk to Dooley and see if we can't get
Okay.
some of those, and we'll both try a scud and see what we think.
Oh, with the
Because I
hardback,
definitely,
yeah.
yeah, I definitely want to try one of those on the end of a hook to keel it.
All right, so I got that guy on there, and that's all the tying here. I'm gonna actually whip finish it here. I'm gonna put a little black permanent marker on the thread
Hmm.
since it's white, and I'm gonna whip finish. And I always do two. It's just a habit.
It's a good habit to have.
Yeah, usually I don't know why. I just always done it. I think it's just the videos when I learned how to tie. Like all the videos,
Hmm.
they do it twice, so I just kind of went with it. And then, all right, that's tied on there. It's secure. So now I just pick it all out, and then I'll put resin on it when I'm done. So now you can fish it like this, but more buggy legs, I think, the better. So I just use
Yeah.
just a bodkin here, and I
Do you
literally
go
just
back in with your scissors and trim the legs to a set length, or do you just let them be random?
yeah, I'll trim if they're super long. I'll trim it. So if they go way past the hook point,
Right.
I'll usually trim it. But this I don't think this one's gonna be too long actually.
I've seen
But
it both ways. I've seen guys they'll use the peacock curl in between, and so they're really short. And I've seen guys make them the full hook gap.
yeah, these will be full like a full gap, but it won't extend too far past the bend or the hook point. But then I could
And
stop there, but I could pick at this for a while.
yeah,
So yeah, I'll trim like this up because it's just like a little long.
a little
But
long.
and then there's some legs, and then I do a solar as thin. It's in my tube still. Solar as thin. Boop. Um, and loon works too.
Yeah, I mean, I
I've always
I
just
think
bugged this.
that's right now the biggest debate in fly fishing or fly tying.
Yeah, which is funny
is
because it does
so
the same thing.
yeah,
It's
and
just
then everybody's like, "Oh, Sally Hansen's, it's cheaper," and it's like, you know,
yeah, I actually have a little bottle of that over here, but I don't ever really use it because I have all
yeah,
this other stuff. But yeah, and then I don't go crazy. Some people you'll see scuds that are like huge backs and stuff.
mhm.
I don't go crazy. I just there we go.
Have you seen the ones that Joel from Lazy R is doing that looks like the wire is wrapped inside the
Yeah, those are cool. I've done one like that. Those are
how
just
long does that take?
it doesn't take long at all actually.
Really?
Yeah, it's just it's basically you're using a lot of UV, and so basically like basically how that would work is like before I put the wrap the wire, I would put a
Mhm.
small layer of UV first,
Okay.
and then I would wrap around that first layer of UV up, tie it off, and then I would do another layer of UV, and then that like magnifies it, and it looks like it's just floating inside
That's cool.
because
Well,
it's
that's where that
clear.
tacky UV would be. Everybody's complaining about tacky. That's where you'd want it to be tacky.
Yeah,
It'd hold that wire in.
it's pretty cool. I actually have one over here. I think. Let's see. Uh, I was just goofing around. You can kind of see it. It wasn't as cool as his.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Hold on. Yeah, kind of
Yeah,
see
you can
it.
see that yeah, it's a great big back on it.
Yeah, I was just playing around one day. Um,
I don't
I,
think they fish any better, do they?
no, I don't. I've never fished one, but I don't think so. I mean, these gray ones right here. I mean, I've caught fish on these gray ones just fine. Uh, I always like to make sure it's even. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm like a perfectionist. I just like to make sure.
Yeah, that's the funny and I think that's kind of the humor with some of the things, some of the feedback I've gotten about the show. It's, I'm knocking out flies as fast as possible and you're, the perfectionist going over stuff. It's really funny.
Yeah, I could have ended this fly. I could whip this up really quick and fish it just fine. I don't know. I like to be perfect.
That's why people buy your flies and they don't buy mine.
Hey, I sell. Yeah, I mean, well, people like the way they look, I guess, but um, I sell a lot of simple flies, like these gray scuds. I sell these. Um,
I'll tell you what, I started tying a size 18 zebra midge.
mhm.
Now, with those 4 power cheater glasses, they're a lot easier to tie.
Yeah. All
But
right. I think
that's, I
that's
mean,
yeah, that looks good. Let me I just pick it out a little more.
I think that's the only fly you can make money off of tying is a zebra midge.
Yeah, because they're so quick.
Yeah, yeah. It's wire bead, hook, and thread. That's it.
Yeah, I actually don't sell any zebra midges. Really, I don't really tie a whole lot of them though. I fish them. They're in my box, but I don't get
Yeah,
a lot of requests for them. I
it's
have a
kind
couple
of neat.
different ways. Like in my Etsy store, I'll have a bunch of like flies listed in there.
Hmm.
And then I'll get a lot of requests on Instagram. Like I'll get a bunch of messages. People just want me to tie some crazy stuff, um, like those
And
stone flies.
how does that work out with your time? I mean, because
Yeah,
you got young kids. I mean, your kids are younger than mine.
yeah. I got one. She's 2,
Yeah.
and so she takes up a lot of my time for sure. But so time wise, yeah, I really have to like manage it a little bit better because usually I'd stay up really late
Hmm.
tying and then getting up and going to work. There's one night a couple nights I just pulled an all nighter.
Oh Lord.
Yeah, and it doesn't happen very often, but I'd get something crazy going on, and I have to get something out by the end of the week, and before you know it, it's Thursday,
Yeah.
and I was like, "Oh crap!" So, but no, a lot of stuff in my Etsy store right now is pre-tied, so I already have them tied up,
Yeah.
They're ready. They're ready to fish. They haven't touched water, um, and so when they buy them, I can just package them up and ship them out.
Yeah.
Um, but I'll do made to order stuff too though.
Yeah.
So I got a big order going to Norway soon. Um, and that's a big one. I got to finish up here soon.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, I know it's funny. I mean, we originally we tossed the concept of this show as being a half-hour show. I think we've had
yeah,
one half-hour show.
yeah,
Um,
how
but we're
short is
still
this?
trying to put them out every 2 weeks. So what's funny is it'll be 2 weeks from tonight when this one comes out. And so in the meantime, this week I've got my podcast tomorrow night. And then I'm recording a podcast for the Bigfoot group on Tuesday and on Wednesday. And then on Thursday, you and I are back again to do the episode for 2 weeks after this.
All right.
And then we've got another episode so we can be off during Christmas break and
Mm-hmm.
then come back in January. I mean, there's a lot that goes into it, except for the
Yeah,
editing. That's really fast and dirty.
yeah, yeah. I mean, tying flies definitely takes time. I mean,
Yeah.
I think some people think you can just whip them up in like a minute. A minute a fly or something,
Well,
and
you
it's
can
not.
if you're doing zebra midges.
Yeah, you can for certain flies, but most of them, I would say, your average fly takes you 10 minutes.
Oh,
You
yeah.
know, 10 minutes is pretty normal.
Yeah.
But and then you got to tie, say, 3 dozen of those, and it adds up.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but here he is. See if you can
Oh,
see if it
nice.
zooms in. I don't know if it'll zoom in
That is
okay.
that's a nice one. That looks good.
Let's see.
I like that.
Yeah, he's on. I got this guy on my Instagram. You probably see
Yeah.
photos of it. I'll put him on our
Oh, yeah.
Instagram too. I've been kind of slacking with that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Kind of
We
got
have the
crazy.
Drinking on the Fly Instagram. So, and
Yeah,
you
go
run
check.
that. I don't run it.
Yeah, I need to get you access to that,
Yeah.
so you can start posting on there too. I keep forgetting. Um, but yeah, this last couple weeks have been kind of crazy, and I haven't really been posting a whole lot. Um,
I know last episode we mentioned the Patreon. We haven't quite got that fired up yet. But if you're dying to give us money, Kayak Flyer has a GoFundMe for a better machine to edit the video on. So if you're dying to give away money, you can do the GoFundMe for Kayak Flyer, and that'll help this show.
nice. Yeah, we'll get all this up going. It's kind of slow to start, but we'll.
Well, I mean, it's finally wintertime, and we're all indoors now.
Yeah, I think things will settle down here because, like I said, I'm doing a lot of pre-tied stuff now, so I won't get as tied up every
Yeah.
single night.
Yeah.
Because usually what happens is I get home from work, I got the kiddo, and then we got
Yeah.
dinner, I got a feeder, and then before you know it, it's bedtime. So,
Yeah. It's
um,
funny. Kids like to eat. I don't get it.
yeah.
And then
so
when they get to be 13, they don't want anything that you make.
it's funny how that works.
I know. It's wild and wacky. Well,
But
that was a
yeah,
great looking fly, dude. I really appreciate that. And we'll have photos when this episode comes out. We'll have photos on Instagram. You can go to our Instagram at Drinking on the Fly and follow us there.
hmm
Hey, want to give a big shout out, a big shout out to Public House. They're sponsoring the next couple of podcasts. I think 6 episodes. We got enough beers for 6 episodes.
yeah,
Um,
this
so
one
that's
was
a
a good
big
one.
one. Like I said, my fly was all stuff from Fly Tyers Dudgeon, and you can get everything that you saw tonight from dooliesflyfishing.com. Say 15% promo code kayak. So, in a couple of episodes in the future, Rick Weisberg is gonna be on
Okay.
from Oasis Benches to help judge a fly, and I think we're probably gonna get him to do to talk to us a little bit about the organization. And so we'll probably have a little bit longer episode, or maybe just one fly on that episode, and let him talk to us a little bit about organization and show some of the stuff that he has. Because man, organization is the worst part of fly tying. I
Yeah,
mean, that's just it.
yeah. You should see my desk right now to the left and the right of me. It's I have like this little gap right here to work.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I actually find here's a little thing. I use like here I'll show you. I use binders.
Oh.
Um, so obviously you can use the thicker binders work better for dubbing if you want to use it. But yeah, here I'll put all my dubbings in here.
Oh, nice. Yeah,
Yeah,
and see that's what I've got. I've got those loon rings that I hang,
yeah, that's
and
cool
I hang my
too.
dubbing by type.
Yeah,
So yeah,
I have binders for a couple different things, some dubbing, some other materials that fits in there.
yeah.
And then I just have everything in drawers. Like it is a little messy.
Hey, you want to have something? You want to have some fun, real quick, for people that watch this till the end?
Sure.
If you take a picture of your fly tying bench, and it's the messiest or the nicest. So the messiest bench and the nicest bench, tag us on Instagram at Drinking on the Fly. I'll mail you a Cutthroat Leader.
Okay.
How's
Yeah.
that sound? In the continental United States or Puerto Rico.
Yeah. So
I don't want
tag
to pay
us.
those expensive Canadian fishing charges, so Joel, you're out.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, tag the photos and drinking on the fly.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, gang. We will be back. We'll see you guys in 2 weeks. This is right at an hour episode, so we hope you stayed with us and you got a little reward there if you did.